And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Randy Green, country music artist who also had a near-death experience. Randy, thanks for joining me and welcome.
Thank you.
Well, Randy, let's start on the day that you died and go from there.
All right. May 26th, I had just gotten out of the hospital. I'd had a cardiac event. It was like 2 weeks before that I was in the hospital for about a week and got out, went back in, got out again. And that little voice in the back of my head when I was standing in my kitchen said, you shouldn't be alone right now, Randy. You and Brooke need to go somewhere. And so I always made sure ever since I was a little kid that when you hear that little voice, you probably ought to do what it's telling you because it works out. So I grabbed Brooke and our daughter Timber, and we got in the car and we drove up to my sister-in-law's. We went up there, just to see my brother-in-law and sister-in-law and eat with them and just, have fellowship. Just now out of the hospital. And I was there with her, and coincidentally, she's a cardiac physician's assistant. So she works right underneath of my now cardiologist. She's worked for him for 20 years or so, 15 years. And it's done like all the hospital stuff. Well, so we're at her house and I'm telling her about, what all they'd found, because there was literally no blockages anywhere in my chest, my neck, everything. It's completely clear. And so they don't know if it's stress or if it's because of my neck. I've got a reverse curve that I had a really, really bad boating accident where we got thrown up onto the shore at about 40 miles an hour. And so I've got a reverse curve, and it makes my hands go numb, especially my right hand, and I'll get paralysis on the right hand side because the vertebrae in your neck surround your spinal cord, and mine are misaligned now, and so they're pinching the spinal cord and causing damage to it and making like extremities go to sleep and not work. So I was up there and I was telling her, and we were discussing that diagnosis and stuff. And because of that condition, when I'd gotten up there, I just got out of the hospital. So I have a painkiller in me. I want to say it was Oxycontin. And I had a pain patch on when I got out of the hospital because my neck was hurting so bad. I put one of those fentanyl patches on my neck just so it would quit hurting a little bit, just so I could function and kind of go out there and relax. And I also had one other drug that was in my system from the hospital, some like Tylenol-like or something like that. I get up there, and the whole drive up there, I'm driving. I felt completely fine, no problems. We get out of the car, and as I'm walking up to the house, I was talking to Brandon, my brother-in-law, and my wife, Brooke, and I started to feel drunk. And it was the weirdest feeling I've ever had. And we walked in the house, and I'm up talking to Courtney, and all my color went away from my face. And she was sitting there, she was talking to me. She goes, "Rand, you need to go sit down. You really don't look good." And keep in mind, Courtney has been checking on me in the hospital. She's been seeing me, every day, checking up on me, multiple messages. So she knows what's going on. And with my heart. And so we're sitting there, and I told her, I said, "I want to thank you, for having my back, having Brooke's back, and helping us through all this. I really appreciate it. I've been looking on Amazon, and I found this $500 stethoscope. It's a Echoscope or something like that, EKCO. And it's got hearing augmentation, and it gives you a waveform on the front of the stethoscope so that they can see if you're having AFib or whatever is going on. It gives you a waveform of it." And so we're sitting there, and I was telling her about this, and she gets her daughter, and she goes, "Well, I've got one of those. Hold on real quick." And so she has her daughter go and grab it and it's bringing it in there. She wants to hear my heart at this point. My color now has gone from normal Randy to more gray, white, and it didn't look good. And they've got me sitting on the couch, kind of sitting up against it. And my color kept kept getting worse and worse and worse while Courtney is sitting on top of me with the stethoscope on here, and her face is changing to faces I've never seen before because she is horrified at what she's seeing. And at that point, I started getting really tired, and I wasn't having so much tunnel vision, but it was more, I was really tired. I couldn't get on the horse per se. There was just no energy, and it just kept getting worse. And I remember telling Brooke and Courtney, because EMS is already on the way, like they're almost there, and she's been seeing my heart rate go down into the 40s and like 36. And then at that point, I just kind of pop out, and I have the unique perspective on this one that my 18-year-old niece, now they all record everything that happens. I guess they record. So I've got a video of me dying to kind of go with what I'm seeing here. So it's kind of weird for me to put all this out. I've been waiting to talk to you before I really start talking about this a whole bunch more. But when I popped out, it was just blackness, but I felt the absolute weight of the world come off my shoulders. I'm one of those people that I'm a high performer. I'm more type A of a person. I look for accomplishments. I work towards goals really strongly. Take my job very seriously. Take my responsibility as a dad and as a dog dad and as a husband and a Christian. I take it really seriously. And so when this happened, all that stress came off of me. In an instant, it felt like if I had a hospital, a huge hospital, okay, think of all the wings and thousands of rooms. I had that hospital sitting on my shoulders. It just got lifted off. That's how much that weight got lifted off of me. It was perfect, complete peace. And the weirdest thing was I knew it without being told, because you were there and you just knew. It was 1 second could have been a million years, and a million years could have been 1 second, and it made literally no difference. Time, you were outside of time is the best way of putting it. I don't know how better to describe it than that. You're in a completely different sphere. And so I'm in this blackness, but I could still see. I could tell that I was floating kind of like prone, sort of. I was looking up, and to my left-hand side, there was this veil. And this veil was, think about a very sheer black fabric, kind of like a very sheer lace black fabric that you can kind of see through, but you can't really see through. That was right here, solid, no pattern or anything, but it was solid right next to me, and I'm floating, and I'm kind of just looking up. And I didn't have the thought, you would think I would have, because it's a completely different spot. You would have think I would have looked down and saw myself and wondered what's going on, but I just didn't have enough time. When I'm sitting there popping, I'm just kind of floating. I've popped out, I'm floating there. I'm seeing this large veil, and all of a sudden this veil above it shoots 7 spires of light, like the Statue of Liberty. On the top of the Statue of Liberty, how it's got the individual spires that come out, okay? These were all shooting out over my head, just straight out from across the veil like this. And as they came out, there was this really loud, really majestic, really powerful, really indescribable sound that was announcing it, almost like a rah, really loud, really triumphant. And this white light, the spires that were coming out, there were 7 of them, and they were about this wide, it looked like from my perspective, and going out to a perfect point. And it was, if I had to estimate it, I'd say maybe 25, 30 feet away is what it looked like. And they were shooting out. They all came out at the same time. On the center of it, they had a electric blue tone towards the center of it. And then on the inside of that were some white diamond looking things that were floating and that were coming out with it. It was sheer 100% power. It was with that light and with that sound, you knew verbatim right that second, buck stops here. You are in the presence of something way bigger than you. This is the end. This is it. It's like I grew up without a father. He left when I was 5. It's a very good thing that he did too, from the situation I was in. But I can remember when I was a little kid that when my dad would talk, what it would feel like. Or my grandpa, when he would talk to me, that authority figure that when you're looking up to them, because they're the big, strong, powerful one, they're the one that can keep you safe. This was that feeling times a billion. It was the most all-encompassing, powerful, loving feeling that's ever came. I've never experienced anything like this. And that light's coming out, the veil's starting to come down, and then I pop back in. And when I popped back in, Courtney had watched my heart rate go to 0. She saw no activity on the stethoscope. She couldn't hear anything, and it's hearing augmented. She had to turn it up all the way. She couldn't hear any blood moving, nothing. They were doing sternum rubs on me, and the EMS was outside talking to my mother-in-law for whatever reason, getting a rundown. She was talking to them. And on the video, my wife is screaming at me to come back as they're doing sternum rubs, and they yank me down to start compressions. And just as they start compressions and EMS is walking in is when I pop back in. I popped back in. It felt like from this area, like your head, neck area, is kind of where I felt like I just kind of came back in. And we took that patch off my neck instantly. That was almost the first thing I did with them. And I was talking to EMS as they're starting to do a workup on me, and they've gotten the leads all over me, and they cut my shirt and the whole bit. Favorite shirt, by the way. And they get all the leads on me, and they're all checking me. And at that point, I think I was maybe hypoxic or something, because I was seeing like shapes and just kind of, weird stuff. And so I'm pretty sure that was my brain rebooting, for the lack of a better term. But I could tell a definite 100% difference from my experience versus what that was. My experience was the most real thing I've ever had happen in my life. This life isn't what's real. That was 100% real. And it's so weird when you come back, because it's like you've gone from being on the master gaming level, say your favorite game, and you're playing it on expert with no help or anything, and you're just getting rid of everybody on the screen, like on Fortnite with my son. It goes from feeling like that level to the first level of Tetris. And I kind of feel like it was like right back on the first level of Tetris, because it's so perfect.
Randy, thank you for sharing your experience with us. If the other side is real and this isn't, in your opinion, what is this?
Training. This is for us to learn. This is for us to learn how to act. God's got a purpose for everybody. I think when you're born, you have certain innate talents. Mine happens to be singing. I've been singing since almost before I could talk. I'd start humming the songs on the radio and stuff. So my talent's always been singing, and I can talk. I can sing to people, when I'm on stage. Your talent might be talking to people and bringing faith, bringing hope to people that are in a very hopeless situation. Whatever that talent is, you have the time to develop it, and you have the time to get the life training to do what you're supposed to be doing in the future. That's the way I look at it.
How has your life changed since the experience?
In so many ways. I've always been a very devout Christian ever since I was a little kid. So that part hasn't changed. I've gone to church. I've always believed in God my entire life. Matter of fact, after this experience, even when I was standing out, one of the times I was standing out on my back porch and I was crying to God, I was really despondent. And I was asking God why. I need to know this. We suffered a loss. And I heard this voice say, she is in heaven now. So I know that's where we're going. I know that's what's happening. I guess if that's the best way I can describe it to you.
Do you think that you still have the type A personality after this experience?
Yes. With the exception of this, when I'm at my job, I'm very type A. I want to know everything that's going on with my teams, everything that's going on with my customers, and take any problem that's going to come up, I'll head it off. I want to know everything that I've got to know to do my job. So I'm very type A when it comes to that. Everything else, though, like what you were alluding to on, how my life has changed, that's one of the most profound changes. I'm very type A when it comes to work, but everything else has fell off. Now I realize there's way more important things to be upset about. There's way more things. I don't get angry anymore like I used to. I don't harbor grudges like I used to. Ashamedly, everybody has that person that's done them wrong. Everybody. And you've been the villain in somebody's story. I know I have been. But when I was in front of that light, all of that guilt, all of that self-hatred for mistakes that I'd made in the past, me being critical of mistakes I've made in the past, all melted away because it wasn't important. Love was important. The way that I had treated other people, that feeling, that's how much that love hit me. That was that all-encompassing that what's important and what isn't. So after the experience, Stephen, I'm married to my soulmate. Okay? I've got literally the best wife I could ever have. I've been best friends with this lady for 8 years before we ever got married. And now we're happily married. I think we're going on 2 years. And when you see this, if I'm wrong, honey, I'm sorry. Don't kill me. And she's truly the best thing ever. But now I know to temper what I'm saying to her, even when I'm getting upset in the minute. Like the other day, I think the kids didn't do the dishes or whatever. I walked in, and with the high price of groceries and everything going up, my stress level's been pretty high. And the first thing I was thinking was, man, why can't somebody just help? Why can't they do the dishes? Why can't somebody just step in and do this? Since this experience, before that, I would have been more critical and wanted to talk to them and, why are you doing this? Come on, act like you should. And now I've gotten this huge amount of patience. And I'm like, oh, they're kids. It's okay. Just go talk to them. And so that's another really profound change that's happened in my life with this.
After this experience, did you notice that you had any new abilities that could be considered psychic-like?
Yes. When I was a little kid and my father had left, I couldn't understand why my dad didn't love me anymore. I couldn't understand what I did wrong. And it didn't matter what anybody said. That's what I thought. And so I started talking to God then when I was a little kid. And I've always kept it really, really tight with God. I've always talked with God. I've always, ever since I was a little kid, we would see a little girl over in the corner of my bedroom. I say we, I just mean me, sorry. Red dress, white silk, white buttons, white stockings, you can't see her feet, blonde hair, black holes where her eyes are, black hole where her mouth is. She shows up over in the corner and you wake up just before it and you're terrified. You can't move. She shows up, kind of materializes, walks over to you, doesn't say a word, and then looks in the direction of the person that's going to pass away and then disappears. I saw her all the way up till I was 18, and she was 100% accurate with people in my family that were going to die. So within 3 days of when I told my mom I saw her and which direction she looked, within 3 days, somebody in our family would die in that area. And I've always seen like ghosts and always, seen that type of stuff. And yes, I've been checked. I was in the Air Force. They've checked me. There's no psychosis. I don't have anything wrong with me. Okay. Other than, the normal stuff that everybody I guess has. But ever since this experience, I prayed to God, because after this experience, I started seeing more scary stuff. We had a whole bunch of what they were called shadow figures that started popping up in the house. Looking around, my daughter, this wasn't that long ago. So yeah, she'd still be 9. She saw him looking out. Our kitchen is here, and then off of that, you have to go down a landing, and then you can walk into the mechanical rooms and into the pantry. She was seeing this black head stick itself out and look at her and stuff. And we've been seeing those coming around. And so I just prayed to God. I was like, can you please take this away? I don't want to see this. I don't want to see any of this stuff. I'm done. I'm 100% now focused on you. Whatever you want me to do, tell me. Lead me in that direction. I'm going to do it, but I don't want to see this stuff anymore. And so ever since then, it went away. So not seeing any of those. I'm not seeing any more ghosts I've seen my whole life. It's a little lonely at times, which is weird. That was taken away, and that was a huge blessing. The fires that happened out in California, I want to say, I don't remember if that was after it or before it, because this has been one heck of a year. But I saw in my head this number 7 that was real majestic, royal looking with gold embellishments around it. It was, and the red part of the block, letter 7, was darker towards the center and lighter towards the end. And it was like this, and it just kept saying 777. I had to fly out to California, and that's when the wildfires out there started going through. Really, really took off on the 7th. I flew out there on the 6th. And I was supposed to be on an airplane flight this year from Wichita, Kansas to Washington, D.C. I was going to go up there for an EV conference for electric vehicles. My company sells chargers. And so I was going to go up there for that. And that little voice was like, you don't probably need to go on this one. And I was like, well, I'm going to go. It's work, And so then I got sick. And so with our flights and with our travel that we have for our company, I can book it the day of or the next day of. So I hadn't booked my travel yet. And so when I got sick, I was like, all right, well, that's the universe or God or somebody telling me I shouldn't go. Didn't go on it. That's when that flight from Wichita, Kansas to Washington, D.C. crashed, and everybody got killed when it hit a helicopter. So I missed that one. And that's the flight that I would have been on, which is terrifying. We had that. I had my appendix burst this year and almost died from that. I was in the hospital for a week for that. And then I had to fight it because of all the infection for about a month before I could have surgery on it. So I had all that going on. It's been one heck of a year, brother. And the last, I'd say the last 4 days, something like that, my heart's been doing the whole back to being brachycardic and dropping down to, 30, 40, 50. When it does, you feel like you're dying, and it's so embarrassing because your whole family is looking at you. You're saying last words because you really think you're dying, and you're like praying for an ambulance or something. That's scary. But when this other thing happened, God had me. It wasn't scary. It was confusion up to that point. And something's not right, you don't feel good, all of a sudden it's gone, no pressure, and you're loved, and everything's perfect and fine. And then you're back into this, and all of a sudden your chest hurts from a sternum rub, and your favorite shirt's ripped up, and you're back in the hospital for a week.
When you say that you hear a little voice, how does that work for you?
Got 3 of them. So you've got your conscience, and whenever you hear your conscience, it's like, oh, don't take that candy bar or whatever, everybody's got that one. And then you've got the one that's telling you to do the bad stuff. Oh, we ought to take that bag of beef jerky. That stuff's expensive and I'm hungry. That type of thought. And then you have the third one that is authoritative and is more speaking to you. And it will call me by my name. It calls me Randy, and it will tell me what to do. It is not often. It's not like every day, like, oh yeah, pick up this pen now. It's not like that. It's when it's something major that's going to happen. Like the hotel room that I was at in California. I've never seen the Santa Ana winds. Okay. The Santa Ana winds were the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Well, I'm in this hotel room, power gets knocked out, which is terrifying when you're from Kansas and you don't know what the Santa Ana winds are. You're in a fire zone working on EV chargers. Power goes out and you can hear 100-mile-an-hour wind making the Marriott or whatever was Hilton, I guess, do like this. You can feel the whole building move. And when that was happening, I heard it tell me, go downstairs and talk to people. And then tomorrow morning, move your hotel. Okay. So I go downstairs and I'm talking to people. I'm helping people with the door going in and out because the door access system wasn't working, I guess, because power went out. And so I'm like sitting there like a door concierge, holding the door for people, opening back and forth. And I ended up engaged in conversation with 5 or 6 people that were absolutely terrified. And I'm from Kansas. Listen to this Santa Ana wind. I don't know anything that's going on, but we were able to pray. And we were able to there was a couple kids that were just absolutely terrified. And I don't blame them. I'm scared too. And they were able to be calmed down. And so by listening to that little voice, or if I'm at home, for instance, I was at home and we went to a bin store, my wife and I. And if you don't know what a bin store is, Amazon, whenever they take back a return, they'll ship off that return if it's serviceable or if it's broke or whatever, I guess. They'll put them into a big pallet and then they sell them to a company that they piecemeal them out, and then people go and buy them for, buy the whatever was in that box for $1, $2, $8, whatever. We're there and I found a sublimation printer, which I still don't know what it is. Okay, no idea. But I got it for $1, and my pastor's wife likes to do t-shirts and all this stuff. So I figured, well, she'll like it. And so I was going to just take it to church and give it to her. This is on like a Monday or Tuesday. Okay. I'm sitting at home. I'm watching a movie I've wanted to watch ever since it came out. We've paid for the movie. We're sitting back. TV's going. I'm engaged. And it was like that little voice came up and said, hey, take that printer to Kim. Really? Okay. And so I got up and I got the printer. And my wife was like, exactly, where are you going? And I told her, and she goes, okay, I'll see you in a minute. Got in the car and I drove down to Broadway, which is like a mile away. And I was headed south to go down to the church. And I saw a car that was on the side of the road that was, pulled over. And that little voice again was like, pull over and help him. Okay. So I pulled over. It was a pastor from out of town. I don't remember the town, so you have to forgive me. It was a stretch of road that not really everybody's going to go down right then. And the guy was stranded, and they were on their way literally to go pray with somebody, or it was something important. And it was him, his 2 kids, and a couple members of his church or something like that. I get there, found him out, and I was like, hey, I'm going to help you till you're on the road, man. And I didn't even realize that was a pastor. He just was a guy in trouble. And so I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to help you until, you're taken care of. Don't worry about it. And we figured out it was gas, and he didn't know what else the problem was. So I went, bought a gas can, filled up with gas, brought it back, put it in there. And I was saying a little prayer on the way. I was like, God, come on, let's get this guy on the road here. I've got things I got to go do. We get there, we put the gas in the tank, car starts right up. No mechanical issues, nothing like that. It didn't act like it was running out of gas when it was stopping. And they had prayed for somebody to come and help them. And just stuff like that. That's what that little voice will do. And that type of thing, whether it goes to if my wife and I are visiting somebody, we visited this guy named Rex with his wife with a new baby, and we're sitting there talking to them, and you can hear the electricity in the house buzzing. The landlord didn't keep up with it. It had bad connections. The lights would flicker. And I'm not going to have on my conscience as an electrician that I was in a house that has some poor little kid baby in there and dies from a house fire. I'm just not going to do it. So we went, and I heard that little voice say, "Help him." Okay. So I rewired the guy's house for him. I had him come up, and help me in a couple spots. But it's stuff like that. And when we got up into the attic of his house, by the way, we found a whole bunch of connections that were melted, a whole bunch of connections that were shorted out. It would have been a fire. And so because of that little voice, whether that's personal responsibility, whether that's an overdeveloped conscience, or, I've tried to think of everything that it could possibly be. Because I did have a separation anxiety from when I was a kid because of my dad. I didn't even have any clue what that was till about 2 years ago. And so I've done a lot of work on myself. I've seen psychiatrists over the years to make sure that I'm seeing things correctly, that I'm not seeing stuff, what is going on here. Because when you see ghosts when you're a little kid, you kind of take it as given. It's not a, oh, wow. It's a, oh, okay. And so you want to make sure that you're checking yourself to make sure that you're not crazy. Test the spirit is what my pastor says. Check out everything, make sure it's good. But every time I've ever heard that little voice, it's always turned out to help somebody. It's never turned out negative, no bad consequences. It's always been overwhelmingly positive if I listen to that little voice. When I don't is when everything goes wrong.
Do you fear death?
Nope. I fear the process of it. I was thinking about this, from our previous conversation, a little bit earlier in the conversation. I 100% do not fear death in any way, shape, or form. Anywhere that light was, anywhere that feeling was, anywhere that sound came from, nope. I'm not scared of that at all. I'm ready to go. We can go right now. Here just real recently on the internet, there was a craze about the rapture coming. Okay. I mean, it says in the Bible, no one's going to know except for God, because he's probably going to make up his mind at the time because he's had enough. But nobody's going to know. And so everybody was getting wound up about it. And I never did. I haven't heard that voice. There's no overwhelming feeling of that's coming. It's been a feeling of, I know there's something big coming, but you're fine. You're taken care of. Don't be scared of this. But that process of going up to death, when I was in the house, when Courtney, before she started working on me, that part's scary because I didn't know what was going on. And like I said, I've got no blockages. I mean, I can run 5 miles. I bike every day. I've put 1,000 miles on my bike so far this year. And that's with me being in the hospital. So I've got really good cardiovascular health. And so that's what was kind of scary, because you don't know what's going on. You can feel it kind of doing this wavy, bumpy, weird feeling. It's horrible. So, but no fear of death, just the process.
Have the memories of the experience faded over time?
Not at all. 100% still as vivid. It's the most vivid memory I've got. It hasn't changed at all. I asked my wife here when we were contemplating, when I was talking to her about maybe going on your show here, and she asked me again. I told her, and she goes, "Yeah, your story's never changed. You're right on." And I was like, all right. So yeah, nothing's changed about it. It's set in stone.
If you had a friend that was grieving over the loss of a loved one, what type of advice would you give?
I'll give you the advice that I gave Grandma Joyce. We call her Grandma Joyce. She's not my grandma. She has always been around in my life, one of those people. She just passed away from cancer a couple months ago. And it was a really big influence in my life, her and her husband, Bill. And she was looking at death coming up and cancer and procedures and all kinds of stuff. And what I told her was this, and we prayed, we did our whole thing. I told her, don't be worried about it. As long as you have love in your heart, as long as you have integrity, and as long as you've tried your best and you've confessed that to God, then, and in my faith, it's, as long as you accept Jesus as your personal savior and you know that he lived and died for our sins, then you're saved. Okay. I realize it's not that way for everybody's faith, but it's all love. There's nothing to be scared of. Literally nothing. And matter of fact, what I told Joyce was when she got to heaven that I really wanted her to go find my grandma and give my grandma the biggest hug and the kiss. Because ever since whenever somebody dies, there's a time period that I can see them. I've seen them at funerals. I've seen them at their own funerals. One guy committed suicide. I could see him literally going around and trying to tell people, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. His was a drug overdose, suicide. They weren't quite sure. But he kept going around telling everybody how sorry he was. And his mom was just sitting there just despondent. But there's nothing to fear of it. Have love, have integrity, pray, talk to God, or talk to the universe, talk to the creator, talk to Allah, whoever it is that you've got. I have a strange feeling that we probably don't have it all right down here. Because if you think about it, 1 second the news is saying, hey, coffee's bad for you. And then the next second they're saying, oh, coffee is good and it's going to prevent cancer. And the next second, oh, it's going to make you blink weird. I don't think we've got everything figured out down here. But I do know one thing. That is figured out. That is taken care of. Just talk to him. It was a very masculine love. Very strong. I don't even know if masculine's the right way of putting it. Powerful, strong, protector love. Like it, all encompassing. Nothing to be scared of. And my experience was what, a minute, minute and a half, something like that, 2 minutes. Nothing to be scared of at all. And the only piece of advice I would give you is if you're worried about it coming up, tell the people around you. That was the one thing that popped in my head also that I told Joyce. Don't be like I was and internalize everything. Tell people you love them now. Don't hold a grudge if somebody does something wrong to you, if it's something perceived and something small. I'm not talking like betrayal. I'm talking like somebody messes up. You want the same forgiveness if you mess up that they're going to want if they just messed up. So just have a little bit of patience. Have a little bit of patience. Try to be kind. Try to sow little seeds of kindness in where you go. Be nice to somebody in the store. Pray for that. I told Joyce to pray for that little voice to hit her, whether it's the Holy Spirit, whether it's whatever. And she could feel the weight get lifted off of her shoulders when I prayed with her. She could feel a little more comfort. And so in her last days, even, and I swear, wherever she went, everybody knew Joyce. You would hear her for like 2 miles before she got in eyesight. Kansas is flat, by the way. And she took that to heart and was starting to do that. And she felt the love getting reciprocated from other people. And this was already a very loving, very kind person. Those would be the words that I would tell you. Tell everybody how much you love them, because that's the one thing that scares me the worst. When I was laying on the floor in here the other day, I had a cardiac event and my legs kind of went woozy on me and I passed out. And I was on the floor and I was brachycardic, which is a very, very, very slow heartbeat. And my family's all here and I'm giving them my last words because I think I'm dying at this point again. And I wasn't scared of the dying. I was more scared that nobody knew what I felt about them. Nobody knew exactly how much I loved them. So get that out and it'll be all right. There's nothing to worry about.
Is there somewhere online where people can check out your music?
Actually, no, there isn't, because it's all put up for commercial sale. And so it's behind walls. It's with the record companies. And so there's a repository of like 300 songs in there or so. And we had songs. I've got a couple songwriter friends of mine that pop in there and do it. So it's all behind paywalls. But if we do have one that gets picked up by a record company, we've got 2 that are on hold. If we got one that gets picked up, then, I'll let you know. I'll message you or what have you.
All right, great. After watching this podcast, people may want to reach out to you and ask you questions. Are you open to that?
Yes, 100%.
How
If
should
you
they?
find his podcast, just ask questions in here. I will do my absolute best to answer all of them, and try and keep up on it. I would love to do that, because if you've got questions, I know I don't have all the answers. My experience was short, but if you've got questions, or if you want somebody to pray with you or about you, or if there's something that's bothering you that you think that my experience, I could maybe shed some light on or what have you, I'm 100% open, every way, shape, or form. Feel free to contact me. Just leave a message on his video and I'll answer it the best I can.
Randy, before we finish up, can you leave us with a last positive message?
Be kind. Remember, we're all human. Even that person that you don't know, but you might have stereotypes or stigmas against for whatever reason, whether it's policies or politics or a different type of church, or they have brown shoes and you don't like brown shoes. Remember, it's our first time here. We're all trying our best. We've never done this before. I have never been a dad of 3 kids, 1 grandkid, another one on the way, and I've never been married to my soulmate before. You're going to make mistakes. So is everybody else. Just remember, for the most part, I think people are trying to do their best. They're trying to be there for their family. So remember that. Be kind. It's their first time and it's your first time. So when you mess up, you might want one of them to forgive you for your mess up. Have a little bit more patience. And if you can, sow a seed of kindness. And however that is, if it's paying for the dinner behind you, for the car behind you. And I know things are tight right now. So pray about it. Just send a little voice up to God, the universe, whatever it is that you pray to. Send a little flare up and tell him that you want to help. Tell him that you want to hear that voice. You want to be led. You want to do what he wants you to do. He's got the whole plan. He is the absolute master craftsman. He is the chess master. There is nobody that can beat him. He's literally has designed it. He's been here for eternity. I've been here for 49 years. I am nowhere even near as smart. So pray to him. Have a conversation. You don't have to be formal. You don't have to, follow a very stringent, way of prayer. Just talk to him. Be real. And tell him, say, I really want to help, God. I want to change. I want to be a better person. Or I want to get over my social anxiety. Or I want to get over this. Send a little flare up that you want some help. And watch what happens. That's what I've done. When I did it, that little voice really popped in loud. I did it when I was a little kid. If you do it now, I'm telling you, it makes a difference. But be kind.
Randy, thank you for your message, and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.